What's up, everybody? It's your boy Charles on this world, checking in. Listen, I wanted to play an excerpt from this is actually an old book by a real talented author named Donald Goins. Goins was a writer from the 60s and the 70s. He wrote a lot of classics like Black Gangster and Crime Partners, real like street heavy stuff. But he had this one book called Whoreson, the story of a ghetto pimp that I actually read this book when I was in middle school, man. This book freaked me out. Anyway, I'm gonna play an excerpt from it, and I'm gonna come back with my reactions. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Appreciate it.
Over the delicate quality of my watch and the exquisite beauty of Fatima's mink. He removed his watch from his arm and put it beside mine. There was no comparison. To match my watch against his was as disastrous as pitting a baby kitten against a full-grown dog. His watch had 2 rows of diamonds going completely around it, while mine had one. Where the bands connected, there was a cluster of diamonds, whereas on mine, there was none. I'd always known that his jewelry was superior to anything I could purchase off the whore money I was getting, but my excitement over buying my first diamond-studded watch had led me to act rashly, and now complete embarrassment was my reward. All 5 of his girls were lolling around in the front room, watching us. When he compared our jewelry, they giggled. New York caught them with his glance, and the sound froze in the air. But the damage had been done. I felt like jumping in a hole and covering the top up for the duration. There was a knock on the door. Before anyone could open it, Fatima came parading into the room, hands on her hips, impudently flaunting a mink. She moved with the grace of a lithe, sinewy leopardess. "How do I look?" she inquired, and turned with that leopard-like motion. Instead of looking at me for an answer, she stared directly at New York for a compliment. Her face was lighted up with a rare beauty. It was almost shocking. It demanded that you acknowledge its superiority. New York returned her stare as though in a daze. I think he realized at that moment that Fatima was the most beautiful woman in the house. I sensed something passing between them, but I couldn't understand what it could possibly be. "Whoreson gave me the night off, New York," she whispered. "But he can't get in no bars 'cause he's too young, so I'm stuck for a date." If I hadn't felt foolish before, I did now. I wanted to choke her till she turned blue. I wish I'd never purchased that damn mink. I was beginning to learn, but my dues hadn't come up yet. "If Whoreson don't mind," New York replied easily, "I'll take you out so you can show off your new outfit." I wanted to say no, but the angry looks on the faces of New York's ladies caused me to give my agreement. They were staring at Fatima with pure hate. I couldn't understand why they resented Fatima going out with New York. She was my woman, and if I didn't show any resentment over the date, I felt they shouldn't either. Had I known then what I know now, I would have realized that they just considered me a young fool. Fatima rushed out to take a bath and put on her evening clothes. New York asked me to take a ride with him while he waited on Fatima to dress. I followed him out of the house and waited in the driveway till he backed his caddy out of the garage. I sat back in the car seat and tried to look clever. The motor ran so smooth and silent that I wished for the 1,000th time I was old enough to buy my own car. "Whoreson," New York began, "I'm gonna run something down to you, man, 'cause I kinda like you. You know about as much about pimping as a monkey knows about flying an airplane." I was stung and hurt by his words, but before I could stutter a reply, he continued, waving me to silence. "Just listen, baby. Just listen. First of all, your main lady is a bulldyker." He didn't ask me. He just made a frank statement, and he went on, ruthlessly. "Fatima likes pussy as much as you do." His voice was harsh. "That bitch of yours will spend money to freak off. I know this for a fact, because she done already turned tricks with 3 of my girls." I muttered something about killing the whore, but he didn't give me time to finish the sentence. "Whoreson, I ain't telling you this so that you'll go home and jump on Fatima. Baby, I'm pulling your coat so that you'll never let another bitch tell you how to spend your money. You're wrong, New York. I don't let my women tell. He interrupted with laughter. His laugh was so hurting that I stopped trying to explain. What you mean I'm wrong, baby? Just what the fuck you think you been doing? He cursed sharply, then lowered his voice. Listen, baby, I'm going to explain it to you just one time, so listen close. Your main lady played on you. Ain't no.
Anyway, that is from an excerpt from Whoreson, the story of a ghetto pimp by Donald Goins. This actually is a really good. I read this book, but you can also hear it on Audible. Um, this book, this particular, I remember this part. This is the part that's. It, if you don't know what a horse is about, it's about this young guy. I think it took place like in the 50s or the 60s, and he's this young, kind of wayward dude, and he ends up becoming like a pimp at like a real young age. And this particular chapter is the chapter where New York was an older pimp who had more experience than him, and he pretty much took all. He was getting ready to take one of his girls. This was a funny chapter right here. Um, so he was too young to realize that this dude was getting ready to pull his chick from up under him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is a really good book. It has some real disturbing parts about it. Drug usage and just it. This let me tell you something, man. Donald Goins is a really detailed writer. And I don't think he had any kind of writing experience or anything. He just started just off the dome coming up with these or experiences that he grew up in the ghetto himself. Now I think he had some drug problems really bad too. But yeah, this is a good book, Whoreson. I remember reading this back in the day, and I was like, this should be a movie. But what I heard, they tried to make a couple of his books movies. Matter of fact, I think they end up making one of his books into a movie back in the 70s, Black Gangster, back in the day, like in the 70s. But I don't think they made any of his other uh, books into a movie. As of yet. But this Whoreson is a really good book. I don't think they're gonna make Whoreson a book though, especially with this climate with the human trafficking and all that stuff. And I think people probably wouldn't get the story. They probably I think they probably would look at it being, a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Like they would look down on this uh as a movie. But really good book though. Go ahead and check it out. But it's I just like the dialogue though. Even reading it, the guy reading it, even if you read it, the dialogue is just so pimpish. Yeah, baby. Yeah, let me tell you what's going on. So he pretty much is getting ready to knock his. They call it knocking your chick. That's what I heard out here in California. They call it, getting knocked, getting knocked for your broad. You know what I'm saying? So this other pimp, who was an older, more experienced pimp, was getting ready to take his chick from up under him, the Fatima chick. Because being he was so young, a lot of his girls were a little bit older than him, so they end up like not really respecting him because he was so young. Uh, but I will say this about the book: it's real brutal. Um, really brutal on women in this book too. So if you're squeamish on that part, you might not want to listen to this book. But it. I think besides that, it's a good book. The story is good. It's a um, very vivid. That's what I said. This the way he details stuff is very vivid. Um, so yeah, if you want to check it out, it's on Audible. And leave your comments. What y'all think about what y'all just heard, man? And any pimps in there, go ahead and leave your comments too. You know what I'm saying, baby? I don't talk with a pimp. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, y'all. Charles and Israel. I'll take care.